In this episode of Cars from Japan presented by Cars from Japan, we check out the Suzuki Alto Works. Now, if you haven't heard of a K-Class car, it's really simple. They're small and they're restricted to 660 cc's, but they're very popular in Japan compared to overseas. Obviously, they were invented there, but they were made for a couple of reasons. One, being small means they don't take up as much space in the giant cities like Tokyo, and being restricted to 660 cc's means obviously they don't have a lot of emissions compared to larger cars. Now, they're just meant to be a basic form of transport, but like we do with every type of car out there, there's always a performance version. And the Alto Works is the performance version that we are looking at right now. Now, there's a lot of generations of the Suzuki Alto, and the Works disappeared for about 15 years before it came back at the end of 2015, and that's what we have here right now is a 2016 model. So let's take a closer look. Let's start with the engine, shall we? Restricted to 660 cc's, are obviously turbocharged, because without it, wow, you'd probably make 30 horsepower, but this thing makes 63 PS or just over 61 horsepower. This one has been fitted with an aftermarket intake for all the whooshing noises, which does create a lot of amusement when driving this thing, and it appears to have an aftermarket exhaust and for some reason aftermarket ignition coils. This little air intake here I find quite amusing. Normally that would be an air intake, but if you follow it, it actually blows over the world's smallest intercooler, which is pretty funny to take a look at. But you got to remember, 660cc 3-cylinder with 61 horsepower does sound pretty, well, slow, but the car only weighs 670 kilos. So the Alto RS and also the Works come with these 15-inch wheels and Bridgestone tyres. The upgrade to the brakes is that the front rotors are ventilated, and they have upgraded shocks and spring package as well. So the two main things that make the Works so desirable compared to the RS model below it is these Recaro seats and a 5-speed manual transmission. The RS comes with a CVT and normal seats, but these two things alone is the difference between this car being, well, fairly pedestrian and I guess something that suits enthusiasts. The 5-speed is more driver engagement. Recaro seats obviously look cooler, but elsewhere in here, you've got a few bits of carbon fiber floating around, and overall, it's not a terrible place to be. In terms of size, I was surprised that the back seat actually has legroom, but obviously it's to sacrifice boot space, because basically the boot will fit, well, not much. So you've got a choice. 2 people in the back or a couple of suitcases. Up front though, shoulder space is probably the only problem. If I had someone else my size with me, we'd probably be rubbing shoulders when we drive, but on my own, plenty of room to enjoy and have some fun. So I think that's what we need to do right now. So I'm going to be the first to admit that I'm not a big K-Class fan. Why? Well, physics. I'm 6 foot 200 kilos, so they're pretty small for me. And you know, think about it, I'm into GTRs and Silvias and WRXs and RX-7s, Porsches, Lambos. I'm into sports cars and two-door cars more specifically. And I like horsepower. So they don't fit with what I'm used to, but I do understand why people like them. They're quirky, they're fun, but they're fun in a different way. To enjoy a K-Class car, you're not going to take it to a racetrack or out on the freeway. You need to drive it somewhere where the roads are tight and narrow, because that gives you a better illusion of speed. So even if it's not going fast, it kind of feels fast. It's pretty zippy in the first couple of gears. And you're done, right? Like, so you can go first, second, third, and you're not even breaking the speed limit in a lot of areas. So I get why it's kind of fun like that. It's not going to set the world on fire in terms of acceleration, but it's fast enough to have a little bit of fun. You do need to find yourself a couple of corners though to really enjoy this car. You can actually throw it around a little bit. It's, you know, 670 kilos. It's not a lot of weight. You could probably even pick the thing up with a couple of mates if you needed to get it into a better parking spot. But yeah, overall, like, if you want to enjoy this car, a couple of corners, a couple of roundabouts, and yeah, you're on your way. Okay, if you have one of these, you've got to put an intake and exhaust on it, so you can just laugh at the choo-choo noises and get yourself a little bit of theatre going on. So this car has a Monster Sport gear knob by the look of it, and I wouldn't be surprised if a short shifter or something underneath, because man, this gear lever does feel really good. If this car was CVT, I could understand why you'd find it incredibly boring, but being a manual, this thing's a bit of a hoot. So rather than go looking for twisty mountain roads that are probably too fast for this thing, let's enjoy it where you're meant to, which is, well, in the city, right? K-Class car was designed to be in the city, and if it's a sports car version of a K-Class car, it's designed to be enjoyed flat out in the city. So a bit of roundabout action, bit of wheel spin. So how do I summarise this car? Well, if I had to own a K-Class car, for me, this would be it. Because if I had to own one, it's probably because I live in the city, need to get around, do stuff for work, etc. And the sports car versions, like from Honda or the Cappuccino and things like that, they have no practicality whatsoever. But the AutoWorks can fit 2 adults, fold the seat down and fit suitcase or work stuff, or you can fit 2 kids in the back. So it has practicality, it has fun factor and performance, and also, I guess, collectability, because the AutoWorks is the rarest one of them all. So this probably ticks all the boxes that a K-Class car needs to tick. So overall, it's cool. If I had to get one, this would be it. Would I get a K-Class car? They're not for me. But I now get why they're popular.